I want to take you to an incident that occurred with me in 1996. I was in Hajj and the fire was raging in Mina. And you know what? I heard the authorities, some of the policemen and the firemen saying on their, internal walkie-talkie system and whatever they had, they were speaking to each other saying, we have to evacuate the whole of Mina within 2 hours. Because the fire is actually raging, the gas canisters are exploding, the wind is blowing very, very hard in the wrong direction. Wrong meaning it's going to cause damage. And so these people started with their loud hailers telling people to vacate. I recall vividly something I'll never forget in my life. A certain senior scholar from this part of the world was telling the brothers and sisters in the tents, my brothers, my sisters, read Surah Yasin and nothing will happen to you. Wallahi, you don't need to move. The fire can never reach out to you, meaning can never reach you, because you are Hujjaj, you're making dua to Allah, you're crying to Allah, and you're reading Yasin. How can the fire get to you? Subhanallah. If you look at it from a religious perspective, that person did not really think what he was saying. Although he was a scholar, he didn't know, with all the knowledge he had, how to translate that knowledge, bearing in mind the reality on the ground. When if a person were to be dying in hunger, the Quran says, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ فِي مَخْمَصَةٍ غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ. If a person is really dying and they need to engage in or consume something totally prohibited, then they will not be to blame. Wow, subhanallah. Why? Because the prohibition of the death is far worse than the prohibition of, or the prohibition of wasting a human life when you could have saved it is far worse than the prohibition of the pork or the swine. May Allah never let us see those days. But trust me, there will be scholars from us who will tell you, die and don't eat it, because they will find it too heavy in their hearts to ever let a day come when you have to consume that swine. I don't blame them on one hand, but on the other hand, if it were to come, they cannot issue their own feelings when there is a clear-cut evidence in the Quran and the Sunnah that you are allowed to do this to save your life. And you should. So on one hand, it's painful to see Makkah and Medina turn away those who are coming for Umrah, possibly even for Hajj. May Allah let this matter resolve before Hajj. Say Ameen. So my brothers and sisters, it is absolutely important for us to know, it pains the heart, but we have to make crucial decisions. Decisions that people will not like us for. They will hate us. They will think, what are you doing? Aren't you worshipping Allah? But we are worshipping Allah more. Perhaps not exactly in the same place, because of how this virus is spreading and what the experts have told us. That same brother, I got up immediately after him and I took the loud hailer and I said, my brothers, and I was a young boy, my brothers, my sisters, there are people in the other tents who have read Yasin. They are also Hujjaj. They were crying to Allah and they died and they were burnt to death after having read the Yasin. It does not mean that you're going to read it so automatically Allah's going to save you. Allah's going to tell you, didn't I give you 2 legs for you to walk towards Makkah with while the fire was raging on? Many people understood it. They started packing their things and walking towards Makkah. You won't believe it. I remember helping some of the elder folks. And when I came out, I saw the same alim who was talking in the tent. He was way ahead all of us with a flag saying, brothers, let's go to Makkah. Let's go to Makkah. And I'm thinking, and like I said, I'll never forget it. It was only because of his love for Hajj and his love for Allah that he gave totally wrong advice. The next day when we came back, all the tents were burnt down. A few days later, in fact, we went to Arafah the next day. The following day when we came back, we were in ashes basically with makeshift facilities in Mina. Some of you who were there might remember this. The same is happening now. People are telling us, no need, let's gather in bigger numbers, let's go to the masjids, let's pack it. You know, if Allah's written maut for you, it's going to come, and so on. Well, to be honest with you, why don't you give the children knives to play with then and tell them, if Allah's written them for them to slice themselves, they will do, and kill themselves, they will do. And if He's not written it, it won't happen, because you know that it's your duty to keep the knives away. The same way this virus is a knife. Don't let it spread to everyone and give it, because they will be sliced and they will slice others.